Yo, what's up, racers? It's your boy Jaber in action, and today I'm going to give you guys 10 tips to help increase your score in a drifting event in the Crew 2. Before we start this video, make sure you click that like button and subscribe for more Crew 2 tips and tricks along with hilarious content that I upload each week. Let's hit 10 likes for this video, and let's get right into it. Tip number 1, make sure you guys get a good start. Way to get a good start and get right into the drifting is to use your nitrous. You start off with the nitrous right there off the beginning, so it's best to use it as quickly as possible to gain enough speed to get you right into that initial drift. The earlier you can start drifting, the more points you will earn. Time is key. Tip number 2. Now onto a pretty simple tip that you guys probably do know. It's not hit any object. It's kind of hard. Some maps have smaller debris in their areas. Some don't have anything, like Terminal D, like Airport Terminal D. The best way to keep your train going, keep your combo going, is to not hit any objects. Avoid as much as possible. Stay on the road. It's hard at first, but the more you keep trying, you'll pretty much just not hit object, and it'll keep your combos going. Tip number 3. Now onto that. Practice. It takes a lot to really get the best score in drifting, and practicing each map. I mostly say to stay with one. The Airport Terminal D is probably the easiest because there's not much objects in there to hit, and the turns are pretty easy to make because you're pretty much in a gated area. But the best way to practice your drift is just keep going on and on, and you'll get better at drifting. You'll see your points in each of the events, not just Airport Terminal, but in each events. The more you play a map, the more you should get to it, the more you know the routes, the easier you know where to drift at, is to keep practice. Tip number 4. Now along with that practice, you get mods, and mods will help increase your score, nitrous, traction, but mostly we're sticking with drifting. So when you want on your vehicle or mods to help increase your multiplier, sometimes your nitrous, if you can incorporate that into your drift, but I mostly am sticking now with the new meta of just car mods. Having car mods on your vehicle, the best mods that at least increase your score, will help get you to the top tier of the leaderboards in the Crew 2. Tip number 5. Now onto that, I think the best way to farm car mods to help increase your score is Airport Terminal D. Like I said earlier, it's the easiest map of all of them. Turns are easy, not that much in your way. Play that over and over. You can get that done pretty quickly. Just as soon as you finish the race, hit that instant restart and you'll get right into it. Your items will be teleported to an HQ. You go to the HQ, you pick up those items when you're done farming for like a long time, and it's a lot of money. You get a lot of money. You get about 15,000 depending on what the race you do each time you do it. So keep on farming over and over. The more you get, the more you do it, the better you'll get. The more mods you'll get, the higher your multiplier will probably eventually get until you get way better loot. I promise you guys that. Tip number 6. Now onto the kind of technical side of drifting. It's stuff that you'll probably have to learn as you play and you practice more. You'll have to just get used to kind of sensing, and that's that's using your reverse braking instead of, I guess, your hard braking. I guess when I drift, I mean, it's a personal thing. It may not be a thing, but when I drift, I accelerate and then I use the reverse to kinda, well, since I play with a controller, to kind of help alleviate that, because if I press the X button, I'm putting more pressure down on my braking. But instead, if you reverse, it's easily gradually puts you into the drift instead of you hard braking. That's what I mean. Instead of you hard braking, so that way you kind of glide into the drift. But if you really need to take a really sharp turn, or you're really close to missing the turn, hard braking can help, but most likely I advise using the reverse instead of the hard brake to get to where you want to go. Now on with that, with turning, you don't want to turn too hard, you don't want to turn too light. You want to turn just enough to where you get into the center of the road or area, but not too light to where you drift out towards the edge, or not too hard to where you get to hit the barrier or the edge, the right edge of the road or left, depending on where you're driving. Now, this is a sort of thing that you guys should have to learn and practice, but it's something that you have to integrate within yourself to learn. And the more you play, the more natural it feels to do, and it takes a lot of focus to get into. So your first few tries, your first, I guess, few hours even of drifting, or getting really good at drifting, will take a lot of focus and practice. But still, just watch your braking, watch your turning, and that's clearly the easiest part of drifting. Once you get that down, it's pretty much up from there, just RNG and luck. Tip number 7. Now, if it comes to where you're losing speed when you're drifting, or you're just close to about to lose a combo and you're about to turn out and spin out, use your nitrous. You have your nitrous, and you probably won't ever really use it because there's really no point of using nitrous when you're just drifting the whole point. But to use your nitrous is like when you're slowly about to turn out of a drift and just spin out. So if you're close to and there's a good way to save it, it saved me a couple times. Use your nitrous to kind of help get you speed so you can drift out into another drift. Tip number 8. As my 8th one, I don't know, I probably haven't kept up with this one so far. We're on number 8. Vehicles. I really don't think vehicles matter to your drift now. This is recorded pretty early within the game's life. Maybe later there'll be a vehicle that come out that, I mean, maybe vehicles will matter, maybe we will know, but until then, I don't think really vehicles that much matter. Probably within, I guess you want to stick with something with high acceleration, but I guess decent enough speed, but high acceleration is key, so you want to be able to accelerate fast into a drift when you're losing your speed and your nitrous. So high acceleration I think is key. You want light to medium-ish on the braking, but all of the vehicles in the drift class all have the same type of handling. So I mean mods, I mean you can only go that from different mods. So I don't really think vehicles matter. It's all personal preference. I mainly run the Ford Focus, but what I've seen is a lot of the Mazda X7 mainly because that's cheap. But I wanted with the Ford Focus because of, you know, Tokyo Drift now. Tip number 9. Now, as my 9th tip, mini chains. You kind of sorts in with the map. I know most of these drift maps, they have their long drifts, like their long turns where you're drifting. But most of them have kind of the little straightaways, and you will probably end up losing your chain if you get into these areas. So one thing I try to do is to drift a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right, and then onto where I'm turning, depending on the left or right. And I use little mini drifts in between to kind of help keep my combo. And that's the hardest part, honestly, when it comes to getting high combos, is those straight areas where you need to drift. You need to find a way to drift, but it's kind of hard because it's a straightaway. So you have to do your best, and it's a lot of skill, honestly. I promise you that. But the more you practice, I've kind of gotten this down a little bit, but I'm still working on there, and I still will get there better as more and more of the crew, as I play the crew. Keep drifting a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, a little bit back and forward to kind of help you keep your chain going on and on. Tip number 10. Now, as my 10th and final tip, I know this is probably isn't a tip, but subscribe for more on my channel. Definitely, if you guys want more tips from me, if you guys want more help, more tips, more help to help the crew, subscribe to my channel because I will be putting out more of these little tutorials. This is the first one, and honestly, if it's not as good, there will be more and better ones in the future. Maybe reduxes of this as we find out more information about how to get these high point games or high tips. But so far, this is the basics of what I have. So thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe for more tips and tricks and gameplay from me. See you guys later. Peace.
Niggas talk, hoes talk, Millie rock, down the block, yeah. I just fucked your bitch, yeah, she gave me time. Look that shit up in the fucking dress and now she in the shop. Niggas talk, hoes talk, Millie rock, down the block, yeah.